I was praying last night and asking the Lord to reveal anything to me that I needed to share. It's been a while since I shared a video, like 6 weeks. I've been super busy with working and school. Um, I'm taking online classes, so I have to devote my free time to doing papers. um, and then I've been busy with just regular household home life stuff. Um, on a side note, two of my rabbits, I felt like the Lord wanted me to breed them. Um, two of the females, um, since they were just over a year old, and if you wait too long, they're not going to be good breeders. And so I bred two of the females to two of the different males, and I have a litter that is almost 7 weeks old, and a litter that's like almost 2 weeks old, and five in each. Um, so the beginning of my rabbit breeding, and I'll have to show some pictures. Anyway, so I've been busy with that, and I feel like he wanted me to start breeding them, and that I'm supposed to finish getting ready. He gave me a word back in January by June or July, and so I felt that I needed to be ready for what is coming, for the most part, as ready as I can be by June or July 2018. So I'm trying to get that wrapped up as well, um, getting stuff on our property that we have, and um, just making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. So I encourage everyone else to get ready, to pray at least. Now you see in the news, there's um, talk of, Trump and Russia, and threats from each side, concerning Syria and what they are or are not doing, and how Russia's told us to stay out. So I believe, like he's shown me and lots of other people, lots of other Christians here on YouTube and elsewhere, that war is coming. We see it in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. We know it's part of the birth pains that nations will rise against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms, and there'll be famine, earthquakes in various places. So that is the main reason. We see it in God's word. Now we see it in the news, and He's also been giving us warnings, um, to remind us of these things. So, in His great mercy, it hasn't begun yet, but I believe it will be soon, in this year sometime. And I believe that between, June and November, that war will break out. And we don't know the extent of what can happen. Um, Worst case scenario, we get, a nuclear surprise. And like I said to somebody else, even if it's not a nuclear blast in our major cities where it's a physical attack that kills and continues to kill people from radiation, it doesn't have to be a physical attack. It can be in the atmosphere 100 miles up. If they were to detonate a nuke, one in the center of the US, 100 miles in the atmosphere, up from the surface of the earth, that would wipe out all of our electronics. No electronics, sorry, no electricity means no lights, no running water, because the pumps won't work to pump your water into your house. You won't have water coming out of your pipes unless you have a hand pump on your well, um, or a stream or some nearby source of water. If that doesn't get turned off as well, um, okay, and then so water, and then food, transportation would cease because almost all the gas pumps now are electronic. Um, and even if they did get vehicles in their trucks that could pump it out by hand, it would be limited supplies. Um, so no trucks, not a lot of vehicle movement means no food coming into the stores. Everyone's used to having, I've talked about this for a couple of years now. I have videos on prepping in my prep list. In my menu, if you go to my playlist under prepping, one of the main problems with all of us here in the United States is that we are so dependent on others to sustain us. And what I mean by that is not that we don't work to earn money to purchase the things, the goods and services that we need, but we rely on those people providing the goods and services in exchange for cash. What happens when they don't want your cash because they don't have the goods and services to give to you? So if there's no food in the stores, there's only 3 days worth of food in any given store, enough to supply the area for 3 days. Um, and if there was an extreme situation where the power went out, the stores would be empty in 3 hours because people would be flocking there to purchase whatever they could. That's why the warning for a couple years now for urging people to be prepared with food, water, and necessities that they need to survive, whether it be medications or, you know, anything like wheelchair, anything that they need to survive without power or food at the stores is what you need to look at getting. Of course, the Lord can sustain us. He sustained Moses and the Israelites in the wilderness for 40 years, and I'm believing that He will do that for some that are faithful and truly seeking Him and not relying, and not trusting in anything else. But He also gives us wisdom. Proverbs 22:3 and Proverbs 27:12 both say the same thing. A prudent man, a wise man, foresees evil or danger and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. Okay, if you look at a different translation, I don't know, I'll just go to NIV. I don't really like NIV, but the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. And go to New Living Translation. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. So let's not be a simpleton that just aimlessly goes on like nothing is ever going to happen. But we should take precautions and be a wise steward of what the Lord has given us. So some people have said, well, I don't have money to stock up. It's not in my budget. Well, it's better to err on the side of being wise and safe than being ignorant and unsafe. We need to make sure that 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. We should be able to provide for our family, especially the men as the head of the household. So it needs to be part of our budget, I believe, setting aside something for emergencies, whether it be a tornado where you live, earthquake, massive fire where you have to evacuate. Do you have plans for that? Flood, any kind of even a severe storm that knocks the power out, or an attack on our power grid. So we know that the days ahead are going to um, bring some of these things, war and famine. So we need to prepare, and even if you never have to use it, which I believe we will, um, your children or grandchildren will make use of it. So I don't think it's too much to um, put aside, $2 to $5 a week, $20 a month to purchase, a couple cans of dehydrated foods that can last 25 years, or bags of rice and beans, um, some emergency rations, the I forget what you call them, but the military grade military rations, even if they're just bars. Um, but we need to have something to be able to feed our family in the case of not having power and food supplied to our stores. So also, I gave a word, the Lord gave me a word January 2nd, there will be a blanket of snow after that war. And so I believe after this winter, which now we're in the spring, anytime now we could see war happening. So um, I just, and then last night, what he showed me was um, I had to take my family, and we were going to our one of our bug out locations, and everybody was able to take a sleeping bag and pillow, a bag of clothes, and then we had our food. Um, and we were going to our location, and but then I had the thought, and I saw the map of the FEMA, um, the 10 FEMA regions of the U.S., how they're broken up, and I'm in this region 9 right now, and we needed to go to region 10, and I just knew, I don't know, I need to pray more about this um, for wisdom and guidance, but there's something to do with these regions. Not only do they have FEMA camps there, okay, and headquarters like this one's in Oakland, but they have FEMA camps all within these states. But there's something about the borders. Um, I believe that the Lord was trying to show me, and it's going to be harder to cross the borders. Um, and another thing that I knew from the dream was that when you're inside one of these regions, you they're going to contain you within this region by limiting your food and water, if not taking it away. So if it's one of the ways the government's going to control you, especially if there's war, and they're going to seem like they're your friend, but really, they're not going to be there's not going to be food at the stores, or maybe electricity for water to be pumped into your homes to drink. And so ultimately, you would be forced to go to a FEMA camp to get food and water, especially for, your children or grandchildren. Um, so they won't have to go out searching for you. They're going to draw you in. And so food and water, water 3 days without water and you die. And then food, 30, 40 days um, is as long as you can last without food. So that's why it's imperative that we have a source of water and food at our disposal, so um, we're not forced to um, go to these FEMA camps when times get hard. And so we need to pray without ceasing, seek the Lord for his wisdom and guidance, remain faithful and steadfast in serving Jesus, um, seek what he would want you to do, and um, you know, I just encourage you to stock up a little bit, even if it's just a couple of items at the grocery store every week. So, um, that's all I really wanted to share. I have videos if you look under my playlist for war, um, war and economic collapse coming soon from July 8th, 2016. Um, Dream war and danger are approaching from May 2017. He gave me a vision, a dream, and a word. It's official. We are at war. August 2017, and um, like I said, there will be a blanket of snow, and then war will follow. Um, so I just pray that you know you seek the Lord in this and ask Him what He would have you to do and where He would want you to go, and um, it just contemplate what would you do if there was no electricity, no water getting pumped into your house, and no food at the store. We're so reliant and dependent on being able to pay for those goods. What happens if we can't pay for them because they're not available? So try it for a couple days. Try not turning on your water faucets and or electricity of any sort, and being able to heat up food or you know eat what you have. Just imagine if you didn't have a freezer full of meat or frozen foods, or fresh produce. So I think if we look into learning how to plant and grow some produce, as well as like I have chickens for eggs, and then my rabbits that I can breed, especially if my dogs needed food. Um, these are all things that are little, but they could mean a lot, you know, if if the power was to go out. The thing I would miss the most is hot showers and a flushing toilet where it could just go to the sewage, you know. But so what would I do in that case? If I couldn't flush the toilet or have a hot shower. These are all kinds of things that we can pray about and ask the Lord to show us and reveal to us his plans for us. All right. Thank you. God bless.